Texas and everything. Let's play this. The truth has been deleted from all these platforms about John Brennan, weather manipulation, or he was in me, they could control the weather and everything. I'm recording this and stuff like that because I see these platforms. I put a video on, and a few other people put a video on proof of John Brennan. Saying we can now control the weather. Later on, this video was removed. This is last year in October. And when we had all these tornadoes, hurricanes, and stuff like that. And I'd say the biggest reason why they want to keep this stuff covered up about weather manipulation and other countries weaponizing it and stuff like that is because then it's an act of war. Let's go.
Would you say the former director of CIA has a lot of credibility? A man named John Brennan, who was a former director of CIA, said the following. He said, "We now have the technology that has the potential to alter weather patterns."
The technology's potential to alter weather patterns.
Director of CIA, John Brennan. Not me telling you this. This is the director of CIA. Then a man named Michio Kaku. I had him on the podcast. We speak. We have a great conversation together with. You know what he says when he's being interviewed by CBS? The CBS lady. You know who she is.
And now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose.
She was just hosting one of the debates with CBS. She says, I remember back in the days, China used the same technology, the laser, to alter weather, to create it to rain during the Olympics. And he says, yes. I mean, the CIA used it in the 60s during the Vietnam War.
Did that just went off. How nice. How did that?
Well, I mean, would you say the created to rain during the Olympics? Yes. I mean, the CIA.
This isn't the one that I wanted. Let's see. PVD has it, or I had the right one. Let's see here. I had the right one. Or Taylor Green. Everybody knows about that. Let's see. Said it. That's 0.5 seconds. I mean, I wish I had that video. I wish I did. What the fuck? Let's see. I had this video, and I remember putting on Reed Timmer, a storm chaser. And it just mysteriously vanished. Let's see. That guy, let's see. I wonder if YouTube and these other places are altering the videos. That's what I wonder. Let's see, that was October. Let's see. I want the right one, is the thing. That's 50 seconds. Let's see.
You ever heard about the Weather Modification Act of 1976? What? This is the government.
Yeah,
this is not us doing it. The government comes out with this. Companies that intend to engage in weather modification activities within the United States are required by the Weather Modification Act of 1976, 15 Code of Federal Regulations 908, to provide a report to the administrator of NOAA at least 10 days prior to undertaking the activity. What are you talking about? Companies participating in weather modification? Well, I mean, would you say the former director of CIA has a lot of credibility? A man named John Brennan, who was a former director of CIA, said the following. He said, "We now have the technology that has the potential to alter weather patterns."
The technology's potential to alter weather patterns.
Director of CIA, John Brennan. Well, I mean, would you say the...
Where the fuck is...
You ever heard about the weather...
Let's see, where is it? Let's see.
Here's a question I got. How much access to information do you think the director of CIA has?
Anything he's ever want.
Tom, how much access to information do you think the director of CIA has?
Everything, and plus he can make it up.
Let me, I don't, by the way,
Yeah,
I can tell you,
can.
I don't appreciate the fact that CBS and the director of CIA decided to flirt with a conspiracy, because I don't like that they're doing that. But if they want to take responsibility for this, they can. Let me give you an idea what Brennan says. Can you pull up what Brennan once said the following? The head of CIA, the former head of CIA, said the following. He says, we currently have the technology with the potential to alter weather patterns. His words, not my words.
That's his
he said
words.
this. Is
His
this a wrap?
words.
What I'm saying that?
They used to have this video out there. Did YouTube and these other companies, media sites, squashed it. What he said, they altered the videos. They got rid of them. Twitter, X did as well. And stuff.
Okay, so these are his words. Go ahead and play this clip.
His words.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. In SAI,
Volcanic eruptions, isn't that something? This is just one way of being able to manipulate weather. That's just one application. There are several other applications that you can change the weather, that the CIA and other organizations could do that. This stuff.
AI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels.
Right.
This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program
By the way, this is from Valuetainment, Peter Bet David. Shout out to them and everything. Like I said, I should have recorded it. I thought I should have, in case it got erased. Because YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all these companies, different companies, Twitter X and stuff like that, they got rid of the proof where John Brennan said we can now control the weather and stuff like that. Other countries have this as well, not just the United States. The thing is, they can't control it like they think they can.
would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere.
Can you move this? I don't know if this is
On the
clip, Ron. I'm just trying. Go find a clip. Just type the keywords. Technologies potential to alter weather pattern. And if you can just go on Google, forget about Twitter. Twitter doesn't work well when we do searches like that. Weather pattern. Yeah, if you can
Google's
do that.
taking it out.
And you will find right there, second one. Second
Yahoo
one.
did
Click
as
on
well.
that. I just want to show the clip, the quote.
I should probably
Okay.
go on Russian
Show the
sites
quote that he says.
and-
So
and
Brennan's
check those
words,
out.
if you can type in
I
pattern,
trust
control
Russia
F
more
pattern.
than fucking
There you go.
American sites.
The technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations, right? Okay. So I went a little bit deeper with this. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this all about? Then you know what we found out? Do you know there was an act in, like, wait a minute, what is
Let me see. Inexpensive National Research Council estimates that fully deployed SAI of altitude and weather stuff like that would cost about $10 billion, which is chump change. $10 billion is nothing. We spend trillions of dollars on trillions. We just spent like 4 trillion, 5, 6 trillion on defense with the big, not so beautiful bill. So
this all about? Then you know what we found out? Do you know there was an act in 1976 called the Weather Modification Act of 1976?
Yeah,
No.
Can you Google that, please?
Jeez.
This is, again, not me. This is the U.S. government came up with something called the National Weather Modification Policy Act of 1976. You know what this is about? This was about if any company is participating to try to alter and modify the weather, you have to give us a warning 10 days in advance. This is what they came up with, by the way. Okay?
Oh, man.
It's called the Weather Modification Policy Act of 1976. Let's go even deeper. Can you do me a favor and type in Operation Cyrus 70-year anniversary? Type in Operation 70-year anniversary.
So-
Craziest article, by the way. Did you see it or no? This one we have to read because it's a little bit weird, but I just have to read it to you. I found it here, Rob. It's called the 7. And by the way, what is crazy about this is the following. This is by far what's crazy about it the most. Pull up the clip I just sent you. This is from the website of NOAA. This is not a blog, folks. This is from the Department of Commerce, Atlantic Oceanographic and Meteorological Laboratory. Okay? My pronunciation is phenomenal today.
Yes,
70-year
awesome.
anniversary of the first hurricane seeding experiment.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Called Operation Project Cyrus. You go a little lower, I'll read the top and I'll go to the bottom paragraph below the chart. On the afternoon of October 13, 1947, an Air Force B-17 aircraft penetrated a hurricane 450 miles east of Jacksonville and dumped several pounds of crushed dry ice into the storm just to see what would happen. This was the first attempt to modify a tropical cyclone by seeding it with freezing nuclei. It was almost the last. Watch this. GE was involved in this, just so you know. You guys can read the rest of the
They're
article. Go
huge
down to the
staff,
bottom
yeah.
right after the chart. Let's read it from right here. The scientists were eager to examine the storm the following day. However, when they flew to the predicted storm location, they had trouble locating the eye. After some hunting around, they found the hurricane center nearly 100 miles west of where they expected it to be. To their astonishment, the hurricane had made a 135-degree left turn and was now moving due west. On top of that, it was strengthening. By the afternoon of the 15th, Hurricane King struck Savannah, Georgia. One person died. In the storm surged $2 million in damages. The public was outraged that the scientists had caused the storm to swerve into Georgia, and threats of lawsuits were thrown around. GE's case was not helped when the head of their laboratories of GE, Dr. Irving Langmuir, issued a statement that he was 99% sure the storm had changed course due to the seeding.
99%.
The chief of
Wow.
weather, government, this is government now,
Okay.
chief of weather bureau, Dr. Francis, thought differently and appointed 3 of his weathermen
Okay.
to find a case where a hurricane had followed a similar track but had not been seeded. The case was published, demonstrating that hurricanes could swerve like that without the use of dry ice, and the threat of lawsuits eventually evaporated. What's the point here? Imagine you work for GE. You're the head of their laboratory, and they say, no, we did it.
Wow.
GE's like, what is the matter with you? Be quiet. You can't say we did it, right?
You're liable.
But
That's
the
liability.
government's chief
Yeah.
bureau comes out and says, no, we checked it out. The man didn't influence this. What's my point here? Here's where I'm going with this. 7-year anniversary, go read that article. All I'm saying is this. You mean to tell me we don't have the technology at this point in 2024 with all the inventions that we've created
We do.
to find a way to kill these things and slow them down? You mean we don't? I'm not even talking about creating it.
Which is on the table
Which
as well.
we know we can create
Of
it.
course.
CBS
Yeah,
host who just
yeah,
was
yeah.
debating, what is her name? Have you seen the CBS
Nora.
clip of Michio Kaku? She said, we've done this.
Yeah.
Right? She
He's
said, we've done
awesome.
this. It's not even us. That's the lady who was on the debate with, the what do you call it? I think she was on the VP debate, if I'm not mistaken. This is the interview. Watch this clip.
It's a bad version of it. Just so
Okay,
that
then
somebody
don't worry
recorded
about it. Anyways,
off of TV.
so they're even saying that these things happen in the past. She claimed that these things happen in the past. This is her 11 years ago. Forget about creating it. What I'm asking about is, in 2024, we don't have a way to prevent these things? And if we do, why are we not using them? Why not? Why are we not using some of these things to manipulate them to go a different way? I don't
This
know.
was 8 months ago, by the way. And I put up proof, and a few other people put up proof about John Brennan. He said we can now control the weather. And ShipTube, Twitter, Yahoo, Google, all these places, Facebook, they took down the videos that we put up. And I remember these stupid storm chasers, these people say they'll give you conspiracy theories. The thing is, we're always right. Whether it's UFOs or other stuff, or weather changing, weaponization, weapons, or whatever, I don't think that we can stop it. I don't think we can stop it. I doubt that. If anything, I think that we always cause damage. But that's me. But
No, it's purely a question. But the more and more and more digging you do on government websites, they tell you we have access to this. We've been working on this, and even the director of CIA says we have something like this to work with. Tom.
we have a lot of different
Well, I think we all
applications
misunderstood the guy
of
from GE. The guy from GE was paid to work in a lab to modify the weather, right?
Yes.
At the end of the year, you get your performance review to see if you get a raise or you get a bonus. And so what does he say? It worked. We did it. We partnered with the government. We put a bunch of dry ice in a B-17. We went up there and dropped this all, hyper-cooled the center of the storm. The storm turned. The next day we went out looking for the storm. It was 100 miles over there. We're like, uh-oh. It turned west. But this guy is basically saying we have to understand this. He's saying, I work in a lab for GE on weather modification. It worked. So he wasn't being a whistleblower. He was just saying, well, this is my job, and it worked, and it turned toward there. Whereas now the government is like, no. Project Mockingbird and all these other things and the electric Kool-Aid acid test, we would never do such a thing. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And so the government comes out and goes, no, hang on. Meanwhile, they had already been trying that stuff previously in Vietnam, trying to extend the rainy season.
Yeah.
So, and it's like sometimes experiments go bad, Remember the Bikini Atoll?
What's that?
That's where they launched a nuclear bomb and gave a bunch of military guys cancer and things like this.
Yeah, that's what I tell them.
So we've done a lot of tests in our
course.
day and kind of messed people up in the process.
And that's why when people, Paolo, you bring this up, and there's people out there, because I've seen it, because I've had these conversations, especially with Brandon. People are like, now you're trying to say, I'm like, yes, I'm talking about that same government that did what you're talking about, that gave LSD to our soldiers, that experiment with mind-altering MK Ultra type stuff. It happens, Pat. Then you have to ask the question, like, what's besides not being able to stop it, them creating it? Because mind you, these are the same people that are saying, hey, this is because of climate change, are actually the ones changing the climate. They're the ones that can do it.
Allegedly. I'm not saying that's the case.
I'm just saying, allegedly
I'm
as well.
not there.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm at is the following. I'm at Harvard in 2015 at this OPM program I went to, Owner President Management Program. I've never gone to Harvard as a student. My GPA was 1.8. This is not, I went to Harvard.
Yeah.
But when I'm there, one of my
GPA is
classmates, Finney, was from Lagos, Tom. One of my classmates was from Lagos. 8 of us were asked to go up and present a certain project we're working on to raise money.
Yeah.
He was one of them, I was one of them, 6 other guys went up. This guy got up and he says, I have invented that with a $100 million investment into a plant, I can build and produce water from thin air. And he wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
And shows this video, and you say, wow. He says, yeah. And then I'm watching the room. I'm not in the water making business.
Yeah.
I'm in the insurance business. And I'm like, yeah, that technology's been around. Yeah, that technology. And everybody starts talking.
So
So the concern with water is we have the technology to be able to make it. There are plenty of advanced technologies for us to be able to do a lot of different things. Why are we not testing it and using it? Maybe we are. And if we are,
It's
and
our government is run by psychopaths and everything. That's why. They don't want us to have this, and they... I believe it's like, was it Sim City and stuff like that, Sim Earth and other stuff where the gods create disasters and catastrophes. I believe that's very much of these governments, some of these governments, how they create some of this stuff as well. Things are just going too good, they create a disaster or something. I don't know. But yeah, we do have this technology. I don't think that we can control. I think that what we could do is spark a wildfire or mass amounts of rain and stuff. Let's see, where's what if that's out here? Let's do. Okay, never mind. Somewhere it was on the news where Texas had enough rainfall days ago for the whole United States, 3 trillion gallons. That was days ago. That much rain fell there in Kerr County for the whole United States to drink for a whole year. A whole year. That's how much fell.
Telling us maybe that's what's also causing something that's 120 miles to go to 185 miles.
Yep.
Maybe they're doing that. We don't know that,
Yeah.
right? So these are some of the things that maybe the government doesn't want us to know because they don't want to freak us out. And sometimes some
Yeah,
projects, some
liable.
assignments get,
Liable.
And you remember what happened in Dubai like
Oh,
3 months ago?
flooding.
It was
Yes,
the
flooding
worst
everywhere.
'Cause they're cloud
rain or
seeding.
drought.
Yeah.
And then
And
when
you have
people were
snow happening in Egypt. You have snow falling where the pyramids were. And you have snow falling in these places in the freaking desert. And it's not all global warming and this bullshit like they like to paint it. That's the way they like to paint it. Global warming is half right, half BS with that. And they just want to use global warming as a way to control the people and stuff like that. Like I said, that stuff global warming is that stuff is like half and half true, half BS and everything.
were basically allegedly saying it was be cloud seeding. I think they were shutting it down. I think some clips, some YouTube stuff, some government intervention. What's wrong with asking questions, I think is what we're basically saying. I don't know what's
Nothing.
going on here, but there's some evidence that there could be some...
I hear from too many people about us working on projects, different defense contractors, DARPA, and other agencies working to control the weather, not just HARP and stuff, high altitude stuff. But there's a lot of different applications, a lot of different things that they use to charge the ionosphere, molecules, stuff like that, and create this erratic weather.
Foul
let
play.
me give you guys an update here about election night. So election night, that's coming up November 5th. It's going to be the biggest party in the country. For people who are business podcast, the super VIPs will get a chance to meet all the few of you. Some will get a private.
All right, so that's done with that. Let's see here. Hold on. I don't know how true some of this stuff is, but I just want to go over some of this stuff on my friend's Twitter here. It's like Goldberg is in trending. Let's see. But there's his national, this is next round Dopplers, heart by ionosphere, meters, alpha transmission. I wonder how true any of this is. What do other people have to say? Yeah, we're Kenley. For so there's Texas right there. Looks like there is some tornado activity right in here, around here. Puerto Rico. That's usual. They make that. That's usual. That's ice.
fresh new line.
I don't know. I think people need to get educated about this. That's a natural effect, but that's natural. Let's see. Let's see. Like I said, there's natural, yeah, a lot of, but that is a bit weird, but that, I mean, that's natural. If people think that stuff isn't, that depends. It's case by case. Okay, so 1/7/2010. Hope that was responsible. That's what you like. Right, they do. They do control it. They want people to take all these drugs and also damage our bodies and stuff. Some work, a lot of them don't. But anyways, that's different. That's just fucking crazy and insane. You can't. Why are people so stupid to say use nuclear weapons or something? That'd make things a lot worse, you dumb nut. Yeah, radiation sickness and everything. Take those things out. And they might not do anything, it might just make it larger. It might make things a lot worse. It would take a thermonuclear hydrogen type of bomb for some of these, for weather and stuff like that. And you can't just do that. There are other ways to manipulate weather, but what are the idiots thinking using nuclear weapons? Yeah, I think it'd be too. Yeah, it's not going to do anything, the idiot. It was Nikola Tesla. The pioneer in electrical engineering is often associated with HAARP due to his earlier work on wireless energy transmission. As theories about the Earth's ionosphere. Tesla's ideas have inspired many concepts explored in HAARP. Although the project itself is a modern scientific endeavor, they've always wanted to control the weather. Let's see. Manipulated air fires for these GW direct energy weapons to a patent bioweapons. Department of Defense, DARPA, or NASA. Well, that's what yeah, okay. Johnson, yeah, he controlled weather controls. They've been saying that since Greek Roman times. They've been saying that, at least, if not longer. I say maybe longer. Modifications is heart towers combined too. I don't know, I mean, lithium. Yeah, it doesn't. But this is within like 30 minutes of time left. This is for July 7th. Hey, wait, I saw this days ago.
What the fuck?
I saw this days ago. I saw this can't be from today. Oh yeah, this is July 7th. Yeah, that's wrong. Yeah. This is the 4th of July. Yeah.
So look at this. So it starts at 14. And in 3 minutes, it's completely overwhelmed. Look at the trees. Oh yeah, it's deleting the trees. I didn't even notice the trees.
Totally destroyed them.
Yeah, they're all getting blown over. Holy fuck. Three fucking minutes that shit happened. That is shocking. I can't even believe that. It'll take weeks to pick.
I got more depth about weather stuff and everything, modification, but I'm not going to do it when there's nobody watching. It's just ridiculous.
Through all the debris that could be hiding dozens of bodies. I'm sure it is. Holy shit, bro. Oh my god. Look at all this stuff. This is from Texas right now? Images coming out of Texas.
That he has timely information.
I actually thought that it was kind of like mainly recited today, like, but apparently not. Holy fucking shit, man. So many kids are just gone. Yeah. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the key questions. As you said, you want to be prepared and you want government resources to be in place so that there is preparation. But when something happens this quickly, the question is whether preparation is even possible. And on that note, how much do you think the changing climate is part of what we are seeing go on here? Not just what we're seeing in the pictures that we're showing on the screen, but even the flood that you talked about in San Antonio in June.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think climate change is obviously a part of it.
Complete bullshit. Anyways, I'm not going to have that BS on me. Bullshit. I mean, there is some climate change, but the Earth goes through climate changes all the time. It's just you retards and people in universities and colleges like to promote a fucking bigoted agenda about this. Yeah, humans have scarred the environment to an extent, but not as much as you say.
And yeah, this is
there was supposed to be more storms here today. I don't know. Where the fuck is it? Is it here? This is from JLR. Shout out JLR. It's 100 confirmed deaths.
We got 100+ dead. The death toll continues to rise. Come on in, folks. Come on in. JLR investigates. We are watching the search rescue operations continue. And we got a drone that hit a plane. Come on in, folks. Come on in. Crazy stuff going on in Texas. The rescue operations continue. People chopping down with chainsaws all along the Guadalupe River. A continuous search and rescue operation underway. Possible press conference coming up shortly. Death toll rises to 104 people. 104 people now dead. We put 100 on the title here. 100 plus now confirmed dead. 104 following the flood in Texas. That is a new update. They're saying in Kerr County alone, 84 have died. Of those 84 in Kerr County alone, 56 are adults, 28 are children. Still, at Camp Mystic, 10 little girls, campers, are still missing, and 1 counselor remains missing. Kerr County, 84 dead. Travis County, 7 dead. Burnett County, 4 dead. Kendall County, 6 dead. Williamson County, 2 dead. Tom Green County, 1 dead. And that's where we're at so far, 100 dead with this terrible tragedy, and the death toll expected to rise. Considering that the death toll, 104 plus missing people, a total of, I guess it could be still 41 missing. In that range, they're unclear on the amount of people that are missing. Could bring this death toll, all said and done, over 150 people plus. This is a disaster. Epic proportions here. It is sadness. It's bad, folks. It's bad. They still don't know the extent of how many people are missing. I want to share some other information while we're on, because the city of Kerrville, just a few minutes ago, as we were going live, a drone hit a helicopter.
Ooh.
A drone, a private drone, just like what was happening with the wildfires out there in LA. A private drone hit an emergency operating helicopter, which forced the helicopter to make an emergency landing. Thank God that the people in the chopper were not injured.
Right, dead. Yeah,
City of Kerrville just put out an alert just a few minutes ago. Please ground your drones until current flood search and rescue operations are complete. Goes on to say this afternoon, a private drone illegally operating in restricted airspace. I guess they're just setting up their airspace. They say these no drone zones in the area collided with a helicopter involved in emergency operations in Kerr County. The helicopter was forced to make an emergency landing, and a critical piece of response equipment is now out of service until further notice. This was entirely preventable. That's what Kerrville put out. Temporary flight restrictions, TFRs, are not suggestions. They are federal airspace rules designed to protect lives during emergency situations. When you fly a drone in restricted areas, you're not just breaking the law, you're putting first responders, emergency crews, and the public at serious risk. Now, this reminds me of the wildfires with the drone operator of the wildfires. Remember the drone operator that hit that Canadian super scooper, resulting in the super scooper to be out of service. They needed those super scoopers to put out the fires. That seems like the same situation here. Private drone operators, whether they're journalists, bloggers, freelancers trying to get that stuff, or just regular citizens trying to see what is up. Maybe it is in people in good heart, in good faith in a sense, putting up a drone, trying to find missing people, trying their best, because the drones do work. You put them along the river, you could look at your drone footage, you could see some areas that might need to be looked at, whatever like that. But this is what happens. Now you have a helicopter that is out of operations. Death toll rose over. That is the breaking news story, and we might have a press conference coming up, possibly, because a lot of these feeds are back up and running. Search and rescue operations, as you can see, people here are out here still digging through the debris with equipment, with shovels, cadaver dogs. If there is any good news out of this tragedy, it seems like the weather's winding down tonight. That is the forecast. Drier weather is on the way for Texas. The lingering storms in central Texas are expected to wind down by tonight. And it looks like it might be much drier tomorrow than the past several days.
I have weather modification machines from us or their country was used. That's speculatory. But they do exist. I know when stupid Google, YouTube, Twitter X, Facebook, Yahoo, all these media companies, including the news, put out statements. It takes stuff down when John Brennan says we can out control the weather. And they take him down and stuff. His words and stuff going into this. They take him down and say that never happened, and it did. There is, a concerted effort for them to hide the truth and everything, what they could do with weather modification and everything.
A handful of showers could dot the area tomorrow. That's what they're saying. But these storms aren't likely to present much of a flood threat. A similar setup is possible on Wednesday. Despite the region forecast to finally dry out, some rivers may rise even after the rain fully stops. The Llano River, L-A-N-O, if I'm saying that, it might be Llano River, has risen several feet since the morning and was nearly at minor flood stage this afternoon. Now, they got a lot of rain up there. We were covering it this morning. We're back. It's forecast to crest near moderate flood stage later.
Watching it, you're heartbroken. Want to know what you can do, and this is at least.
All right, so we're going to get another report here in the area of what's going on. Just keeping you informed of what the different media outlets are saying with this devastation. But yeah, 20 state agencies are in the area.
Okay.
Shout out to all.
Additionally, 1,700 personnel and more than 975 vehicles are in this area.
I think that's covered up where he's getting this. Right there or something.
Search.
As more time passes here in Kerrville and across the county, hope is quickly turning into grief. Dozens of people remain missing at this hour, and now more than 100 people have been declared dead because of this disaster. And you can certainly see the devastation that the flooding left behind here along the Guadalupe River. We've seen dozens of toppled trees. We've seen debris stuck between the branches, including cars. That is what people, the first responders, the search and rescue teams are sifting through, hoping to find anyone who may be stuck.
Waterways in some of the most devastated parts of central Texas rising again Monday as more rain falls in the area. The elements hampering ongoing search and rescue efforts.
They're running into a lot of technical challenges with terrain, with water.
The Kerr County Sheriff's Office says over 400 local, state, and national first responders and more than a dozen canine units are helping in the search and rescue efforts. Here, a dramatic rescue after two people clung to a tree to save their lives. Others in the state, including children, were forced to swim to safety.
The flood started getting bigger, and it was going up to, we have bunk beds in our cabins, and it was going up to the top bunk, and we had one choice, and we had to swim out of our cabins.
I said a prayer when I was standing on my porch. Both my parents are deceased, and I said, Mom, Dad, God, help.
The death toll continues to rise, including 27 campers and counselors from Camp Mystic along the Guadalupe River.
I've lost near friends, best friends, my boss, my godchildren.
The Hill Country community now questioning if anything could have been done to prevent this tragedy.
Everyone here, if we could have warned them, we would have done so.
There wasn't a way. What the fuck are you talking about? There's no way. There's no way. This happened within minutes. Minutes. So you can't say there's, this is where it's like, I think so this could be weather modification. That some country, whether it's us or their country, did this. Something happened is not right. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks either. I don't. Because I know about some stuff from other people. I've done too many reports on this stuff. So, if YouTube puts out misinformation, fuck you about it.
He didn't even have a warning.
While survivors come together in their grief.
The outpour of people near, far, it's been incredible.
Don't listen to YouTube, don't listen to Google, don't listen to these other stupid news agencies about saying that stuff doesn't exist or whatever. The stuff does. It pisses me off when you take off the proof of John Brennan and other stuff, and this stuff exists and they can control it and stuff like that. Pisses me off. I remember putting out that video that we can now control the weather.
Storms here in central Texas are expected to wind down by today, and drier weather is in the forecast. That is good news for the people here who are clinging on to hope that all of those missing will be found and reunited with their families. We're in Kerrville, Texas. I'm Mary Bell Gonzalez.
All right, death toll over 100.
Much of a home here anymore. The flooding took a heavy toll on this property, but this is a place where searchers can launch some of their heavy equipment and a place where they can take a load off at the end of the day. Water at least 30 feet high swept through the Blue Oak RV Park early Friday, and the owner, Lorena Guillen, says it came out of nowhere. She says the area was pristine only a few hours earlier. The floodwaters leveled several of her buildings and carried away numerous RVs, along with at least 4 guests who she considered family. One of the only things still standing is her Howdy's restaurant, and she's using it to help.
We focus on the work, we focus on the help, we focus on providing the rescuers what they need so they can keep doing their job. We're not stopping, and whenever we finish, then we'll process. But right now, we just need to keep going.
Crews here have been removing a lot of the debris that washed up here, including countless cars. In fact, Guillen told me she watched in horror as some of those cars floated by with people still inside, people who she now assumes are among the dead. One thing she did stress is the need for assistance for her and everyone affected by the flooding. She says they need that help sooner than later. At an earlier news conference, U.S. Senator Ted Cruz says that he's been in touch with the president, and the president has promised to, and this is a quote, send Texas whatever it needs. Reporting from Ingram, Katrina Weber.
I can tell you this, secretly behind closed doors, they'll be talking about whether modification weapons were used. They're to be going to these agencies. They're to be asking questions. Hey, did somebody do this? Did our country do this or that? And this is even more secret than UFO stuff. One big reason why this is even more secret is because this is an act of war if another country does it. If our own country's doing it, they can get sued for libel and stuff. They owe. There's no amount of money you can't get people's lives back if it's our own country that did this and something. I mean, if this is just a freak thing of the weather, it could be that too. It could be, but I'm saying I do know that weather modification does exist. I don't care what anybody says, I don't. Because I know about this stuff too much. But if it is natural weather thing, that just something else. This happens within fucking minutes. Nobody, no weather person could have called this out. There's no way. There's no fucking way that they can avoid people. Like I said, over 3 trillion gallons, but the amount of water that fell just within, a couple days is enough water for the whole United States. A year's worth of water for everybody, for a whole year in the whole United States. Fell just in that one place within a couple days, at least. Trillions of gallons. I wish I had that video. Let me see here. If I don't. Holy fuck. I don't have that. All tools there. I had it on another video. That's for different videos I do. Let's see. Let's see. Is it here? Is it there? Or what? No, it's not. Can't wait till I get another computer built. I think this will work a lot faster.
12 News.
As the search continues, so do the questions. So here's one. When did officials...
All right,
Yeah,
so those are some of the news reports here. Giving you just a assessment here of the area here in by Camp Mystic. This is by Camp Mystic. This is we'll call this ground zero area. Kind of just give you an idea. Look at the bark peeled from these trees in the background. Look how high you can clearly see the water was. We're talking like 20 feet up. Out there.
It's like right up there. Yeah, way up there. Yeah, the bark way up there. Yeah. That's 20 or so feet. Up there. That's like 30 feet. 30 feet. Lord. Jesus Christ.
But again, 20 agencies out there, additionally 1,700. So many people have been donating water, pallets of water.
Across Texas, as the death toll rises again following the flooding in central Texas. 51 people are now confirmed dead, including 15 children. Crews continue working around the clock through flooded out roadways and bridges, trying to find survivors. Governor Greg Abbott maintains this remains a rescue mission, not recovery. Now here's a look at some of the victims in this disaster. Many families mourning their losses as others are awaiting answers. This is what's left of Camp Mystic.
The loss of more than 100 people, many of them children attending summer camp. 8-year-old sisters Hannah and Rebecca Lawrence of Dallas had just finished second grade. Their brokenhearted parents said they brought us so much joy. We had
view. You get the perspective of the pilots as they search the rivers, the campsite, anywhere, any sign. They're looking for survivors.
But on this mission, they came up empty. Lieutenant Jordan Hobson is with the Coast Guard.
We want to do everything that we can in our ability to help find any survivors that are still out there. So we're going to put forward our best effort.
Across the road from Camp Mystic, 30 family members of 67-year-old Alicia Olvera are looking for her everywhere. Olvera's husband was found dead, and she's been missing since Friday.
Where does she live?
She lived right there in the house.
Juvia Torres is her daughter.
If people are watching this, what do you want them to know? What do you want to tell them?
We need help. That's all I can say. We need
help. If I was
help.
your God, this wouldn't happen. If I was your God, just say, this shit wouldn't happen to you guys.
Searching. We need to find her.
You guys believe in stupid gods that let this happen.
And you certainly wish them the best. Our hearts go out to them and all the people here trying to struggle, trying to deal with this. Everywhere you turn, there are people with stories, tears in their eyes. You wonder how long it's going to take for them to recover if they ever will. The flooding here in the Texas Hill Country is common, and there were alerts leading up to the 4th of July, but no one foresaw the disaster that was coming. Jason Allen joins me now with that part of the story. Jason.
Maurice, we have been asking people since we got here the day of the flood if they knew when they went to bed on July 3rd if this river was going to rise. We found that debate on how to alert people to that danger has been going on here for years.
The first sign of trouble came Wednesday, July 2nd. 2 days before the flood. The Texas Division of Emergency Management activated state emergency response resources, citing increased threats of flooding. On Thursday, the National Weather Service brought in extra staff to monitor for flooding and issued a flood watch. At 1:14 a.m. local time on Friday, the agency sent out its first emergency alert for Kerr County. That triggered cell phone alerts and weather radios, but it did not mention evacuation. It sent another alert at 3:35 a.m. Again, no mention of evacuation. At 4:03 a.m., Kerr County residents were urged to move to higher ground now, calling the flood an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation.
So
time-lapse video shows the water level rising to 23.4 feet in Kerrville.
It only took 45 minutes for the Guadalupe River to rise 26 feet in some places. The Hill Country is widely known as Flash Flood Alley because the intense rain that hits the hills, it falls on limestone and the runoff roars down canyons.
Back in 1987, a flash flood killed 10 teenage campers.
Wow.
CBS News teams captured video as people were rescued from treetops out of a raging river. 8 years ago, local officials say a lack of funding prevented emergency sirens from being installed. Today, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick told us the state could fund an emergency alert system.
If they can't afford to do it, then let us do it.
Is that a possibility?
Sure. We have a special session starting 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks?
And I think we can take that up and do some other things of funding these sirens. If there had been a siren, maybe that would have sparked people to say, we have a massive disaster like 5 minutes away.
So they did.
Jason, people have been talking about this for years, getting sirens up. Why haven't they gotten it done?
I talked today with Tom Moser. He was on the county commission here back when they talked about this in 2015, 16, 17. He told me that they wanted to get a grant for it. When that didn't happen, there was concern about could they afford it? Would the money be there? And there was also some concern for people who thought the sirens would be maybe more of a nuisance than they would really be of a help.
So after all of this, do you think it's going to happen now?
He does, and he really hates for a tragedy like this, a disaster, to be a catalyst for change, but he knew one of the people who died, and he really thinks that this time it's going to get done.
Hopefully. All right. Jason Allen, thanks so much. Well, as the hours and days go by, we're learning more about the people who've died in this disaster. Here's Janet Shamlian with a look at some of
flooding. On Thursday, the National Weather Service brought
is common, and there were alerts leading up to the 4th of July, but no one foresaw the disaster that was coming. Jason Allen joins me now with that part of the story. Jason.
And Maurice, we have been asking people since we got here the day of the flood if they knew when they went to bed on July 3rd if this river was going to rise. We found that debate on how to alert people to that danger has been going on here for years.
The first sign of trouble came Wednesday, July 2nd, 2 days before the flood. The Texas Division of Emergency Management activated state emergency response resources, citing increased threats of flooding. On Thursday, the National Weather Service brought in extra staff to monitor for flooding and issued a flood watch. At 1:14 a.m. local time on Friday, the agency sent out its first emergency alert for Kerr County. That triggered cell phone alerts and weather radios, but it did not mention evacuation. It sent another alert at 3:35 a.m. Again, no mention of evacuation. At 4:03 a.m., Kerr County residents were urged to move to higher ground now, calling the flood an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. Time-lapse video shows the water level rising to 23.4 feet in Kerrville.
It only took 45 minutes for the Guadalupe River to rise 26 feet in some places. The Hill Country is widely known as Flash Flood Alley because the intense rain that hits the hills, it falls on limestone and the runoff roars down canyons.
Back in 1987, a flash flood killed 10 teenage campers. CBS News teams captured video as people were rescued from treetops and out of the raging river. 8 years ago, local officials say a lack of funding prevented emergency sirens from being installed.
8-year-old Eloise Day 2, day 3. It ended up with a total of 13.
Waiting for news of their loved ones, some answers, some closure. Maurice.
Cannot come soon enough. Janet Shamlian, thanks so much. The flood danger here is not over. Lonnie Quinn in New York now tracking that for us. Lonnie?
Maurice, the big question is, and everybody wants to know, how does this happen? Here's the situation right now in Kerrville. All right, the area shaded in green. We have a flood watch that's in effect. There could be more to come. But what happened over the weekend? Training showers and storms moved into Kerrville, and it didn't start as a light rain and then become heavier. It went from nothing to something. Rain coming out of those clouds at 6 inches per hour. It ended up with a total of 13.8 inches of rain. But maybe you're still thinking, how does that translate to all of that water? Kerrville was in about the worst drought condition anywhere in our country. So that
like I said, trillions of gallons came from this storm. Enough for the whole United States population for one fucking year. That's how it's felt.
Is not playing the role of a sponge. It's
not
not soaking up.
ABC News. I wish I had that. There's no way I could go back there.
Any of that rain, it's playing the role of pavement, and all of that rain just funnels into Kerrville. This is hill country, a steep topography, so it's not just 13 to 8 inches of rain in Kerrville. It's from all around the area, and it comes down, and you get a river that reacts like this at 3:45 in the morning. It's about knee height on me. All right, by 4:45, it rises up. This wall you're going to see is 13 feet high. Imagine the water going another 10 feet beyond that, all within 1 hour. Too much for those people to react in a timely fashion. And we know what happened. We're going to learn from this some way, somehow.
Better.
All right, so we wanted to share that CBS report.
They should have signs and all sorts of stuff.
All right, so to wrap up, folks, their search that they were doing at Camp Mystic appears to have vanished.
So it looks like they can't see it.
So we will continue to monitor the situation. Again, they're saying 1,750 personnel are in the area.
The thing is, money ain't going to bring these people back. Money ain't going to. They're gone, they're gone. I mean, you can see them in the afterlife. They'll be there in the afterlife. And they'll be watching them from the afterlife, family and stuff like that. I know because I've been to the other side. You can see family, they can see you and stuff like that. They watch you and stuff like that. They're in a better place, much better place instead of this shitty place. They don't have to worry about their health, they have to worry about money. They don't have to worry about, if there's going to be enough for food, for bills. They have to worry about heat, getting cold in the afterlife, and this other stuff. So, they're in a lot better place now. That's the thing to look at the most. They're not totally gone. They're still there, and everything. But you can get back. You can see them, like they, feel somebody can help. So it's a little bit of a pain, but. They're in a better place now, instead of the way hell on earth is. They're in a much better place now. That's it.